Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world, and welcome back to HGC China. It is the playoff stage. Thatcher and I are ready to present to you the final three seedings for HGC China to represent their country at the upcoming Eastern Clash.
Yes, we are. Our competitors have been decided to join Tempest Ballistics, KSV Black, and Loli Meow. From China, we have TheOne, Challenge, and SPT. You join us today, where we shall decide the seeding and what order the Chinese teams will go in.
And at the same time, of course, we're going to decide the final results of the ongoing 2018 HGC China season. So, who's going to become our new champion? Who will be the runner-up and who will come in third place? All that is going to be decided today. And our first best of five already promises to be an exciting one, Thatcher, with TheOne facing CE.
TheOne versus CE. This has been a continuously CE-favored matchup in the past, but it is going to be cool to see TheOne try and make it back in terms of a little bit of redemption. And of course, if they do, they will have come up from that third seed and stolen a cheeky little seed away from CE, potentially avoiding a difficult opponent. However, we have to be honest, all opponents at the Eastern Clash are difficult.
Yeah, they're only formidable opponents at this point. There is no free ticket, if you will, where you can take a victory for granted. Even the Taiwanese team needs to be respected because Taiwan has been known to be a region of kingslayers sometimes. We've seen that last year on the international stage. Teams like Pleaf Buff Arthas, they have always been good for a surprise or two. And as such, it also remains to be seen how impactful China as a region can finally become. Because Chinese fans, us included by the way, we've been waiting for the quote-unquote little brother of Korea do well on an international stage again ever since the really old days with teams like E-Star and EDG. So yeah, how much has China grown? All those questions will be answered at the Eastern Clash in Taiwan, which is going to take place in a couple of weeks from now.
Yes, it is. Currently on screen is a little rundown of our usual format of the league up to this point. It was best of twos. 2 points equal 2 wins equaled 2 points. A win and a loss equaled 1 point. This set up our table for the playoff stage that was a best of 5 ladder-based format. Winner stays on. Starting with Timeflow versus RPG, Timeflow were able to vanquish RPG, but then lost to BTG, who went on an incredible run before finally losing to Soa. And Soa, after a valiant performance, it was so close to being taken down by TheOne, with TheOne earning that third spot.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that the series between Soa and TheOne yesterday was one of the clutchest ones I have ever casted. It was such a pleasure to watch, cast, and follow. Soa fighting valiantly, as you said. They are a team that has grown so much, but in the end, it was just not enough to beat the powerhouse that is TheOne currently, with star players like Hugo and Hihi and, of course, Meng. We all have to mention those wonderful players. However, today, I dare say, they're going to face a whole different calibers of teams and players, with potentially SPT at the very tip top. But now, first of all, they need to overcome Challenge, a titan in the Chinese scene for a long time now.
And that would be a difficult matchup in the first place. But TheOne currently have momentum on their side. They've come off a win, whereas CE are currently coming off a holiday. But the fact is also TheOne, the last time these two teams met, TheOne was the one that came out victorious in a 2-0. The last time CE beat TheOne was in the very first day of play, the very first game that was played.
Yeah, very true. You brought up a good point. CE, although they are a stellar team, is not free from faults and weaknesses. They have shown us a little bit of inconsistency throughout this first phase of 2018. However, our Chinese experts still give the favor heavily to CE, and at this point, I do want to agree with them, because as much as I like TheOne, I think two things speak against them, and that is A, experience, because CE has been a staple in the Chinese HGC for a long time now, and I would also say still consistency. There is a predictable playstyle for TheOne. They are all focused on team fighting for the most part, whereas these guys from CE have many strengths to come. They are incredibly versatile, they have a variety of playstyles to fall back on, and Alufal, this handsome young man, the team captain and star player transitioning over from support to the ranged flex, is going to lead the charge.
And if you have not seen HGC China up to this point, or only saw last season and are like, wait, Alufal on the Assassin? What? For starters, where have you been all season? And you should go back and watch the VODs, because they've been amazing. But you can see in the highlight clips that Alufal did in fact swap over from the support, leaving the support role over to 365, who has stepped into those shoes very nicely. But Alufal is just going from strength to strength as the Assassin. A couple weak games, but that's always going to be the case with every player. And he is looking seriously good on on all those heroes. Cassia, though, definitely one of the highlights.
Absolutely. We still remember his glorious Cassia plays, but we also remember his stellar Genji performance. He is incredibly versatile. He has grown so much when at first he was, he's looking okay on those ranged assassins or in that ranged DPS role in general, but now he's actually become one of the region's very strongest, and that is of course due to the fact that he's mechanically so good, and he's always been on those supports as well that you can never count out Alufal no matter what he plays. But now we're going to take a look at the team on the red side. This time it is TheOne coming in with a lot of momentum.
Fighting in from the lower seed, but coming off a victory versus Soa that did result in them being given a Maiev at one point. A serious boon to their recent victory. And here you can see Meng, the key player, one of the top assassins in the region, but now he has to oust not only one of the new top assassins in the region, Alufal, but also one of those old-fashioned experts in the form of Zuyu.
And as good as Meng is, I don't think he's as good as Timeless on the Illidan. So
yeah,
a little bit of a hiccup here from our production crew. We love Timeless, though. A nice honorary mention here. And I think they just realized what they saw as well. TheOne. A fantastic team, and you brought up Meng as well. Meng, of course, is a very special player to talk about. A, he is 18 years old, a real youngin' up in this HGC China roster. And B, if you take a look at his history of his career, he started off with Hot's Lady last year, and we were very critical when we first saw his appearance on screen, weren't we?
Yes, we were. We thought he was a little bit off. He was losing games every now and again. He was too aggressive for his team. Turns out, though, just needed a team behind him to follow, and as such has really proven himself since.
And here we see both teams coming in with a relatively good record. Of course, TheOne had a little bit more to practice with in those last few days, with the playoff stage already challenging him to the fullest. Whereas C, as you said, they're coming off a holiday, but I think it's safe to say that they've been scrimming and practicing like crazy.
They must have been, because they are already qualified for the Eastern Clash, so they will likely be practicing for that. And the final map that wasn't played the entirety of the playoffs, we have now completed our full collection. We are starting with the Tomb of the Spider Queen.
Yeah, really cool to see. As you brought it up, Tetcher, we haven't seen a lot of Tomb of the Spider Queen, and both teams with mixed results, and especially CE, only with a 2-to-1 ratio. It really shows that the team of Challenge haven't really been practicing or haven't really been playing this map all too much.
This is absolutely me being a nerd, but they absolutely should not round up a 6 there in that particular percentage equation. Isn't there like a symbol for recurring? Just add that. But for now, like you said, equal win rates, but slightly played more by TheOne. I'm pretty sure I saw that as we are heading into our first draft, Tomb of the Spider Queen in the playoffs.
And here we see the 2-star players in those webcams. Hugo on the right-hand side and Alufal on the left-hand side. Watch out for those players. While Hugo is an absolute melee assassin god, Alufal, of course, the main carry to fall back on these days on the ranged flex position. And immediately we see that Malfurion being locked in. And I can't really blame CE too much, because Malfurion has grown quite literally so much over the last few days, even in the Chinese scene, who are, traditionally speaking, sometimes a little bit slower when it comes to adapting to the general global meta.
So we have the hero 4365 here. Like you said, Malfurion has been dominant in this season. Twilight Dreams and a lot of tranquility here in China as opposed to Europe and the other regions.
Yeah, very true. That is a very big difference. Tranquility actually doing astoundingly well, I do want to say, especially when paired with a Tyrael, which many teams like to do these days. Tyrael provides power for shields with Righteousness and Justice for All at level 1. He could also top it off with a Sanctification, and while the Sanctification is then active, the Tranquility will fill up all those members nearby gradually.
Gul'dan picked up. If you're going to be going against something that potentially might have Tranquility, you might as well set up something that will give them reason to. A lot of damage, but not as much burst damage as might potentially be viable against that. But Gul'dan still incredible on this map. Wave Clear is insane.
Yeah.
Horrify is a dominant team fight heroic ability, and it's going to be the potential ability to kill off any of these heroes that come in, as Tracer, one of the best assassins to work with, Malfurion is picked up, and Greymane might as well burst down that Gul'dan a bit.
Yeah, I'm really happy that we see an early Gul'dan Tetra, because if there was one thing that bothered me the most when it comes to the Chinese meta, it was the lack of Gul'dan. We've seen crazy Gul'dan plays yesterday by Knutti in the European Open division. He's just such a powerhouse on that hero, and you know, China, they always relied on other mages, if any mage was picked at all, and that was Jaina. And while Jaina is good, I think on this battleground in particular, in Tomb of the Spider Queen, the rotation power, the reliable wave clear, the mana independency that a Gul'dan has is just too important to be passed on.
I would agree on that, but now they do need something to keep it sustaining themselves. So they're going to ban out Tassadar for now, still a little bit afraid of that double support, the Tracer Task Comp. Very few teams are running it these days, but it's still always that little threat.
Yeah, and of course, maybe TheOne have a little bit more information than we do. Maybe they have practiced against CE over the few days, and maybe CE was one of the few teams to maybe fall back on that Tassadar Tracer combo, which has fallen in popularity quite a bit. For now, though, we see Tracer and Greymane locked in, a lot of burst damage now, and of course Tracer with Malfurion ever so reliable in unison.
Yeah, they have run the Tassadar several times this season, the Tas Tracer, and actually Tassadar more times than Tracer, meaning that they've likely run Tassadar along with Cassia or something similar, or maybe just going for the Tassadar Hanzo combo. But either way, Tassadar 4 times, 100% win rate this season, much like the majority of the heroes that CE have actually, but still, it's very strong, it's a solid ban. And the response by CE with Cassia ban, probably one of my favorites just due to the damage output type they have. And we see a Ragnaros Kendrick.
Yeah, and he is another very niche hero, very specialized hero at this point, which we normally only see on 2 battlegrounds for the most part. 1 is Brax's Holdout, and 2 is Tomb of the Spider Queen. And of course, he brings fantastic lane D-push, fantastic wave clear in his Molten Core form, just in case things shouldn't go so well with the web viewers pushing against you. Speaking of wave clear and D-pushing though, we now have Blaze in the mix, joined by one of Win's specialities that we hinted on to yesterday, the Garrosh.
And this is fascinating. He didn't play it at all this season. He played it once last season and lost with it. He's practiced it enough, he trusts it enough at this point, he's possibly learned from Timeless enough to bring out the Garrosh and put their first round play onto this. It's a very small map, you can easily try and get your combos, and very few of the members of TheOne actually do have that kind of escape potential.
Yeah, I still remember Win's really great performance with Garrosh, though, on the GCWC, where he made that hero look like it was the easiest thing to do. So there's definitely some threat potential coming in from a Garrosh. And as you said, you can never forget about a Garrosh, because one moment of unawareness, one moment of you just slipping in too deep, and he could toss you into the backline and end your life. And here we see a little bit of percentage damage, a little bit of tank shredding, which is much needed against Garrosh, who becomes one of the most resilient warriors if you only rely on ability damage from Gul'dan or the Ragnaros.
Yep, good idea here. Shred through the Blaze, shred through the Garrosh could be the big move that TheOne do need here. And of course, Tychus, one of the heroes who can actually get physical armor, which can protect him from both the Assassins, the Tracer and the Greymane. Could be a pretty big deal for him here.
Yeah, it really could be a big deal. And all of a sudden, we have 2 very different playstyles clashing against each other here in Tomb of the Spider Queen. We have a lot of damage, we have a lot of focus on the backline here for Team TheOne with Gul'dan and Tychus. On the other hand, we have solid frontlining with Blaze and Garrosh not trying to give away an inch.
Exactly, they need to just hold that line as tough as they can, tanking through all the damage that's coming their way. I really am enjoying the idea of the Ragnaros, though, if they're able to start getting their own turn-ins. TheOne have a really solid lineup of actually being able to kill CE. Like, it's not a insta draft win by CE in any case.
Right.
They actually have solid engage. They have solid damage. It's really good. I think the burden of execution is kind of on CE this time.
Yeah, definitely true. There's so much pressure coming in from TheOne, and that's where they excel. They want to be the aggressors. They want to look and seek those team fights and then bring the pain to their opponents. But ladies and gentlemen, can they do it against the powerhouse that is CE? We're going to find out. Let's go to Tomb of the Spider Queen and introduce our teams to you. On the left-hand side, in the blues, we have Challenge, also known as CE, with a Lufel on that Tracer. Wind is playing Garrosh, KTY on the Greymane, 365 on Malfurion, and Zuyu on Blaze.
And on the right, it is TheOne with Hugo on the Ragnaros, Lucky on Gul'dan, Meng on Tychus, Zado on Uther, and Hehe is playing on the ETC.
Alright. Techer, I think, while there is a lot of pressure for CE right now, and, I mean, there is a lot of damage coming in from TheOne after all, we shouldn't underestimate Tracer here, because we normally don't have a dedicated Tracer counter in this game. There is no variant, there is no Cocoon available, for example. They will heavily have to rely on their on their skill shot CC effects, like the Horrify, maybe a Sulfurious Smash. Uther stuns are going to be pivotal when it comes to stopping the Tracer, especially when controlled by a stellar player like Alufo.
You say it perfectly, Kendrick. The fact is, Alufo is tough to pin down, and they have very little. The only point-and-click stun they have is going to be Uther, like you said, and otherwise it is going to have to be lucky or very skillful shots going on. As you see there, actually managing to get a nice little hit here, using the Tychus grenade even, a little bit of displacement to give Alufo a little bit of a harder time, but he's already back to full.
Yeah, forcing out an early recall on a Tracer can be really good, and of course you will always have to count the cooldowns, right? So you're always going to have voice communication saying, okay, Tracer recall is currently on cooldown, let's go ham on her. And on the flip side, as a Tracer player yourself, you're going to have to be very, very double careful on how you engage and how you look for a team fight while recall is not available.
Kendrick, have you ever wanted to break a war? Because Garrosh wants to break a war. He has taken a War Breaker at level 1. Basically meaning if he stuns heroes, like he was able to there, a little bit of CC onto Tychus, who shreds Alufo. Recall has to be used, but KTY will probably pick up the skill. It's actually going to be 365 who gets it with the Moonfire. Yeah, if Garrosh stuns heroes just like he did there, then his Groundbreaker will do additional damage, and if he gets 15, his cooldown can be reduced by 2 seconds. This can combine super well with the shield talents, the defensive measures you can get at level 13, and of course shields with Garrosh is wonderful.
Absolutely, the more shields on Garrosh, the better, especially when he is sitting at low health, because then the armor will also cause the shield to deplete slower. So a very, very cool feature when you play Garrosh. That's why sometimes we have heroes like Tyrael in the mix as well when that hero gets locked in. Justice for All getting so much value here. But you brought up a really good point here. The overall CC and the stuns on Garrosh are going to be crucial, because as much mobility as CE has with heroes like Greymane, Blaze, and Tracer, mobility is a little bit of a weak factor on the side of TheOne, isn't it?
It really is. They are quite unmobile, like ETC and Tychus obviously not, but Gul'dan, literally no mobility unless he decides to get to level 20 and take Demon Circle. Zuyu able to escape, using his mobility there, and Wind punishing the immobile previous gank attempts by Hugo and Hehe.
Here goes KTY, by the way, now fully committed on that Greymane. KTY, a very interesting player that we can also talk about a little bit here. He's basically the team's jack of all trades. If you need a Tacitor, that is his role to fit in. If you need a good secondary assassin, that is exactly what he wants to do as well. And while he is not really as flashy as someone like, let's say, Meng or Lufel, he's always there when his team needs him, and here ETC is in a little bit of trouble.
The lack of unrivaled strength there actually saved ETC. Wind. Warbreaker commitment might help out in the long term, but prevented him getting that kill, as he did not go over the wall into the base, and as such was able to tank through the root and the blaze stun, and will survive.
Here goes Hehe once again, trying to keep Garrosh at bay. He takes a little bit of damage. He gets tossed in as well. The root's not connecting, but the healing for Garrosh keeps him alive for now.
He keeps hitting these stuns. It's actually really impressive. KTY picks up the kill and escapes.
No way.
The Holy Radiance. And what a play there. Root just short on hitting Meng. And CE pick up their second kill.
Wow, that was very impressive by KTY. A little bit unlucky there as well for Uther because the Holy Radiance was aimed straight at the Alliance Brethren. But as it is, strong performance here, strong rotations by CE, and Win up to this point definitely making good use of those Garrosh combos.
And he's making great use of Bloodthirst there, his regular W ability. He really should have died there, but that clutch heal on the way out on ETC. And then, of course, Greymane very close to going down, but with a good roll and a nice juke of the Holy Radiance. And Uther tried to throw the book at him, unable to do so.
Exactly, but here come the Web Weavers. First big point here for CE. Let's see how much value they can get. The Molten Core gets used in the middle. The range is huge. As soon as this middle Web Weaver has been disposed of, there could be enough range to also deal some damage on the top lane.
Rag raid has been abandoned. They're unable to do their raiding at this point, and as such they rotate up to top lane. Rag's still able to siege down a little and clear out as much as he can with what little duration he had. So all these Web Weavers will be cleared up and the forts will survive. The bot did actually take a lot of damage, and all of the front walls have been killed off. CE looking to try and get some more value.
Yeah, and this is where the CE train just starting to snowball out of control. Already a 1-level lead, pushing down lanes left, right, and center. The top fort extremely weak here. We can also see that Lucky hasn't really had the best time of stacking up the Echo Corruption right now, because quite frankly, there weren't really any fights going down in his vicinity for the most part.
Nice little stun by Wind there, forcing Hehe to take a very roundabout route to get himself out of danger due to the Malfurion route, but he is out as the One sneak away the Siege Giant camp in the bot lane.
Siege Giants very underrated oftentimes on this battleground because they will provide so much distraction in that bottom lane for the rest of your team to potentially get a sneaky turn in. For now though, level 10 is so far away, you could even debate if it's worth it for the One to start the turn-in right now, because with level 10 so closely around the corner for CE, they couldn't even push in against heroic abilities even if they wanted to.
Lufel forced away. He has 21 gems. He would love to be able to get rid of them, but for now is just busy denying the turn-in by Meng. Meng with 13 gems himself would bring his team up to 30, and they have 63 in total. So they would also like to be able to go in, but like I said, level 10's now available for CE. That's going to be a lot more difficult. We are seeing Tychus, well, he's going to die as we see them move in. There's the taunt, where's the damage? Tracer arrives, and that will be the end of Meg. Dodges the ETC stun. Meg finished off by the attack by Greymane. Go for the throat was active as they look for Shadow as well. Root will cut off his escape, and that is the double kill.
That is the double kill. You shall not escape the roots of Malfurion here. Quite a lot of gems were lost on that day, but Hugo on that Ragnar was the main treasure holder. He is, of course, still alive, and that is very good for the One. However, as we could see here, I'm not sure why they looked for the aggression here when level 10 was already available for their opponents and they were still so far away. On Triple Spider Queen, it's actually sometimes better to give up forts because in the end you won't be able to defend them anyways, rather than giving your gems away, rather than giving more experience to the enemy team.
As such, with gems given away and with structures destroyed, another Web Weaver wave will fall for CE and will begin pressuring all three lanes. Top fort, pretty much a foregone conclusion at this point, or a foregone conclusion as it were, as bot lane is also going to be the one under pressure. Even mid lane is being pressured to potentially do some damage to the tier 2s, but with heroics available, this push has become a little bit harder.
Yeah, the question is, how do the One want to play this? They do have a very powerful weapon at the ready with a Molten Core, but I think they want to save it for the tier 2 defenses, as you said. The forts can't be safe anymore. The entire team of CE is pushing hard with the help of Web Weavers and Spiders.
RFI is used, Garrosh is the one in danger, but Armor's good as they are able to back up. Zuyu is sent in a different direction, keeping himself safe. Tracer continues to poke and harass bot lane, slowly pushing up that Web Weaver, as mid is just being defended, keeping the pressure on. Top was taken down as well, as we did say. It had very little health. There was nothing that could have been done about that, unless Rag decides to multi-core it.
Yeah, I think Lucky on the Gul'dan was a little bit anxious there to lose Hugo on that Ragnarok because he is carrying more than 30 gems. And if you... sometimes you really want to make sure that the bank in your team is not going to die here. So maybe a little bit of a nervous trigger finger. It was not needed, really.
I like this. Garrosh going for the defensive measures, still picking up the shield, keeping with that nice little sustainy build, keeping himself a little bit tankier. I don't know if he's done with Warbreaker yet. Like it's though, he has gone for that Relentless Soldier, keeping himself nice and tanky through the very physical-based damage of Greymane and Tracer.
Yeah, very true. And there's also plenty of CC available, so whenever you get rooted or stunned by any enemy hero, you are going to get a little bit of extra armor, which is very, very important, as you said, against all that burst damage coming in from Greymane and Tracer.
We see them looking for more gems. CE are killing the bases so quick that they're not actually getting minion waves. So as such, they're struggling a little bit for the next turn in, but they're still rushing there pretty quickly. They are only 4 gems short now, and they're even going to try and pick up a boss for it.
Yeah, this should be a relatively safe boss call. The ones that are intimidated right now, they are not really brave enough to leave their base because they could always expect a level 13 fight looked for by CE, but now they smell the blood in the water. They seek their chance here to maybe pay in, but Garrosh and Tracer alone are so good at stalling and defending this payout area. Tracer because she's so mobile, and Garrosh because she's so hard to kill.
Lucky's on the run with 31 gems. You can see Ragnaros still with 47, and he can't do it. He can't turn in. You're seeing Blaze picking up the final gems his team needs. They're now going to have a boss. There we go. They aren't going to turn in, though. Looks like they're going to just go with the boss for now and get the turn in afterwards.
Yeah, and I think this is a good call. No, they're still going for the turn in. Tracer, Elfrian, and Blaze, they're all falling back, trying to get some additional spiders in the mix, but once again, this was so well done by CE. 3 people were more than enough to take down the boss here because you still had Blaze tanking through most of the damage, while Garrosh and Tracer were keeping the enemies at bay. And you could really see how clueless the one were. They weren't really sure how many people are CE going to send here to defend. Are they doing boss? Are they not? And as such, without any decisiveness, there is no turn-in.
Yeah, and with the turn-in finally happening for CE, the indecisiveness is going to still allow them to put some pressure onto the one here as they're going to move into the mid lane as 5 this time. Even Tracer will spot the ETC, and from that... Actually, no, I don't think she did. She moved into the bot lane.
Did move to the bottom lane, and now they're trying to push the waves as fast as they can, because as you know, the wave weavers are going to lose health automatically over time whenever they use any of their abilities.
Horrify gets all 4 members, and that is going to be the death of Greymane. He gets thrown into the mosh pit a little bit further, taken out by the Hellflame, and that is a really good engagement by the one. 365 drops the Tranquility, trying to keep himself alive. Ice Block for good measure. Kills off he is a loophole background from the side. Tries to focus onto Meg. 365 taken down by Meg, as it's a loophole and Suyu. Both trying to shred through the members, but it's still a 3-for-1 in favor of the one.
It is an absolute inferno. Many casualties on the side of CE, but I do dare say it was all calculated. Of course, they didn't want to lose 3 team members. They didn't want to give that much experience to their opponents. But look at the overall structural progress. Top keep destroyed. Bottom keep almost dead as well. Only the middle remains largely untouched because of that Ragnar. So in the end, although CE taking the first tint in, or the first dent in their performance today, still worth it.
A Luful on the run. Lucky wants that kill. Corruption not going to land. But finally, Hugo, though, is able to get his turn in and getting rid of a huge chunk of his 47 gems. But he's still got over 20.
Yeah. And this could be the liberation blow they are looking for. Here we see another replay of that beautiful engage. Look at that 4-man Horrify. Everybody is gathered in different directions, and here comes the Sulfurs, the Divine Mosh to keep everybody locked in place, and the disaster was perfect against CE.
And some might be wondering, why did Garrosh throw Greymane further into the mosh? For starters, if he had unrivaled strength, he might have got him to the other side, and a lot of players are used to playing with that talent. And for second, he has the stun throw on the E here. Oh my god, just like that. And it was an attempt to stop the mosh, but like you said, Divine Shield mosh, but no Divine Shield for Gul'dan this time.
Exactly, Divine Shield was not ready there in that situation. Gul'dan getting popped, that means a lot of wave clear now gone. Let's see how well CE can defend this. Looks to me like they're defending this pretty well. There should be enough gems in the bank still for the one. There we go. 59, that's enough to get yet another turn. And with the lanes pushed this time, they could maybe continue what they started earlier. Hugo, by the way, on the Ragnar's playing so safe. Still hoarding 33 gems. He is going to be the team's MVP.
CKTY picking up a nice little mercenary in the bot lane. You've already talked about how good Siege Giants can be on this map. So having that pressure in the bot lane, seeing as they don't have their web weavers yet, will give them some time. Unfortunately, once again, it's going to push up the lane. So they're going to be missing a couple gems here. Great Bane, in fact, is going to push up in the bot lane a little bit to grab those gems as we see Zuyu nice and tanky here. The Nature's Cure being used on him.
Yeah, Nature's Cure to stop the stun by ETC. Zuyu actually going in very deep. The Garage combo lands on Tyke, is a good target.
Tranquility is good, and that might save Zuyu here as he was caught in the Horrify. Here comes the bunker juggle, but the mosh pit's good, getting everyone who could possibly interrupt it. The Rag Molten Core from above, sieging down, and the one shred through yet another fight. So far, he is the absolute carry for his team right now, with a little help from Lucky.
Yeah, he of course, paving the way for Hugo to shine and melt faces on that Molten Core. It was raining hellfire down from the skies. In the meantime, though, Tetra, we talked about this. The distraction caused by those Siege Giants, so good. And I think they're going to take down the bottom keep. So in the end, worth it. And for the one to make up for this loss now, they're going to have to push with this boss and really try to get a keep and result before CE hits level 20. So many things against the one, although they're starting to come back and claw their way back into those team fights.
That is a really sneaky move by CE, stealing away that Bruiser camp from the enemies. They can now run back and grab their own. So the Web Weavers going to be spawning unless they can clear top inside the base, because there's actually a catapult which will stop the Web Weavers spawning in anywhere but inside the base. I'm pretty sure only Bok had Gul'dan stop it. No, Web Weavers are here. So as such, the only Web Weaver that's going to get any push value is bot lane.
Yeah, this was really unfortunate there. As you said, that one catapult slowing down the top web wave so much. Once again, the one are paying, but once again, all those minions, all those spiders are so far behind. They're going to lose so much health before they even get to CE's base.
Mid lane, the shortest distance to run, is the one that's going to get the furthest by the looks of it, as the other two are ticking it down slowly. Tracer's just going to shred through top lane, seeing as it is unattended. Bot lane looks like the lane of choice for the one, even though their Web Weaver there is a little bit weaker. So they're going to commit and at minimum get a force. That's fair enough. They were able to do that. 5-man push, you're probably going to achieve something like that, even with a low health Web Weaver.
Here goes the improved bunker. We also see the improved tranquility here, giving cooldown reduction, if I'm not mistaken, and increased healing value.
Yep, for every hero affected by the standard Malfurion healing, so that is going to be a pretty big deal in these big, long fights. You can see the one backing up, not wanting to get caught out. Garrosh going with Titanic, Titanic Might here, where he can now throw 2 enemies instead of 1.
Alright, let's see how much value that is going to get. Here we have what could be the last team fight of the game. A great save by Wind, keeping Zuyu alive. The Horrify is with, and this could be the chance for CE to strike back.
The bunker does block the minions here, blocks the mercenaries, and a really cool move by the one to burn the Molten Core here. But that's a long cooldown. Yeah, guaranteed at the camp, but the camp's just dead. Was that worth?
I do not know, Tetra. It looked to me like the one was trying to put all eggs in one basket, trying to go for a Hail Mary team fight, but CE was just too good at dodging it. Wind in particular with a toss there, golden, absolutely on Zuyu. Otherwise, if Blaze had died there, things could have gone way differently. And the one now, 2 keeps down still. All the lanes are pushed against them with their backs against the wall. No more gems to be turned in. Instead, it is the opposing team, CE, who could start to set the killing blow.
They could, and that looks like it's going to be the attempt here. Lanes have been re-pushed up by CE. These Web Weavers going to get significantly more value. as they begin to move in. Mid lane, slightly less pushed. That one spider does troll CE a little bit, and as such spawns it a little bit further. But all the other web weavers are in a decent position here, as mid is going to be the lane of choice that they push, because it's the least expected one, due to the fact it still actually has to keep in it.
And Tetra, I don't think Molten Core is ready again. Hugo used it a couple of moments earlier in the bottom lane. He is going deep. He wants to land a party.
Big red button, divine mosh value hammer!
Oh!
It's a Furious smash, but Malfurion is alive. KT1 getting healed up by the Malfurion. Wind is so low, but tanking through. But it's still Tracer already down here as they look for the backline. Go for the throat though, shreds the Gul'dan as the core is under attack, but the big red button damage is so high right now. Zuyu takes a little bit of harassment, he's forced to retreat, and CE, unless they can get a quick pick here, they can't end the game. They're looking to try and get that pick as catapults rain down fire on the core.
Yeah, here come PvE reinforcements. Catapults on the core. KTY, now the biggest threat. He could shred down the core the most efficient. That's why they're focusing him so much. Zado, almost about to die. Hihi going in a desperate attempt to save the core.
Molten Core, last-ditch effort, but it's too late. They don't have the CC, and CE were able to tag their way through, and they take game number 1.
They take game number 1, Tetra, but in the end, the team fighting got stronger and stronger for the one. If only they had been able to play the early stages of the game a little bit better, I think this could have turned into a whole different game.
Catapult's good, as it turns out.
Pretty
So
good, yeah.
Really nicely done here. And as such, CE, with dominant fashion, just able to control the lanes well. That Tracer pushing bot lanes so much that game, Alofa was able to get so much value, and that was the reason that keep was so low, and that caused distractions in top lane, so that went down as well.
Massive shout out to Hugo. That one last Sulfur Smash was huge. If only, just imagine, if only Malfurion had died there as well instead of just the Tracer.
Yeah.
I mean, getting Tracer was already so important, but without the healing of Malfurion, I don't think CE would have been able to continue and finish the final attack there on the core. But still, there were so many catapults pouring in, minions left, right, and center as well. So all in all, you could say that although CE took a couple of casualties, lost a couple of heroes here and there, it was all calculated for the most part. Whenever they started feeding a little bit, there was a keep falling in return, there was a siege giant camp pushing in return, or the core was falling in return. So definitely well played by them.
Yeah, very nicely done, and as such, CE take the 1-0 lead, as a lot of people might have expected, but the one, they still have their chances to recover into this. Remember, this is a best out of 5, unlike our standard league format we have done up to now.
Yeah, and I really like the idea behind the One's draft, and their battle plan was actually pretty good, if only it hadn't been for the overall smarter gameplay of CE. They always seem to have the better idea of where to be to prevent the turn-ins, to go for a sneaky boss, for example, to take the Siege Giants when it was free to do so. The one, if they just clean up their rotations and if they wake up a little bit more, if their reactions are a little faster, then I think they can prove to be quite the challenge for CE.
And a very low kill total map there, and the fact is CE were just completely different strategies between the two teams. CE picking individual people up one after the other, and the one just taking clutch team fights with, like we called out during the game, really nice mosh pits. Sulfurous Smash was good. It wasn't used too much that game, but it is going to be this man, Zuyu. Really solid wave clear, really solid thruster packs. He played well, and as such, one deserved MVP.
Yeah, Zuyu, of course, needs to be mentioned, not just because of his stellar gameplay, but also because he too, similar to Aluful, had undergone a significant role change at the beginning of the season. He used to be the team's main range DPS, now replaced by this man, KTY, and Zuyu is now the team's bruiser, off-tank, solo laner, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, the melee flex, I believe it is referred to. He still, on the occasion, has even fit into a grey main role sometimes, because it's melee-ish, and that seems to fit him very well. Be curious to see what he's able to do with the new Sonya once it has finished its rework. But now though, second map of the game.